So, I don't know what it is, but I felt so uncomfortable making my last couple videos for the sole reason that I had like a bunch. I needed to shave. So I just showered, shaved, got done with work and all that shabaddle, and now I'm here recording a video of a game I really wanted to cover. It's not from the Gen it's from GSCPL 6, which this battle was taking place in week 2 between Shengineer, who at this point had just come off a loss from Zepice in week 1, but also had just completed their journey through the Invitational, taking Mr. Soup to a second set in the finals, and thus securing himself second place after a very tense best of 3 match. And I remember watching this game live. I don't remember looking forward to it as much as I probably should have, because BFM was coming back from a hiatus. He had to take a break week 1, so Maris Bonnabel filled his slot for that week 1 battle. And this is BFM coming back from hiatus, and Shengineer is playing after playing the tier for many months, including in Slam League. I was watching this live, and I had no idea how fun this game would be to watch, and I am very ecstatic to be displaying this right now. So without further ado, let's get started. So at lead, we see a Persian versus a Wigglytuff, and this opens a few questions for each player, actually, just because Persian has no real way to get recovery that's not from leftovers. Usually its moveset goes through Screech, Thief, Hypnosis, and Double Edge. There are Rest Talk Persians out there, for example, Double Edge and Thunder with Rest and Sleep Talk, which very famously it has a really good matchup against Xatu specifically. But when you're up against a Wigglytuff, you don't want it to get a curse up, because if you get a Screech off, or Lord forbid it misses, then that's +1 attack to the Wigglytuff, and even though the defense is -1, it can still body slam you, para you, and you get a whole lot of HP chipped off on the Persian. However, Wigglytuff also doesn't want to eat a Hypnosis if it doesn't have to. It does have Rest Talk, but that's a lot more unreliable, and you don't really want to be keeping this Wigglytuff in, especially if there's some bad rest rolls and you get screeched on. Although I don't think as a Persian I would risk it to a para like that. So this is a turn that each player has to think, okay, is the other guy going to switch to something else? Who else are we going to see? Tough usually likes to see another Curse Mon on their team. They usually like a Weezing as well. Maybe even a bulky ground type. Persian, this seems like a Spikes team to me, but it's definitely going to be a fast offensive team, to say the least. So let's go to turn 2 and see what each player does. And BFM brings out a Weezing, and Shengineer calls that bluff and Thiefs it. Now, Thief is a pretty good move. I would say that you have to kind of think through if Persian stays in and or if Tough stays in and just body slams and gets a pair off on that Persian. But again, I didn't even go into detail about this, but you also really like having lefties on Wigglytuff, so BFM must see something that on his team that he must believe that Weezing giving up the leftovers, that's the best possible move, or even giving up to Hypnosis. That could indicate that this is a Rest Talk set, or it could indicate that he just wants to keep Sleep Cause up just in case. Probably not that, but you just don't like to have your rocks slept, in my opinion. You don't want your Sudowoodo slept, you don't want your Rhydon slept, you don't want your Graveler slept at all. Even Shuckle hates being slept, and this is not a stall team, but still. So choosing to go Weezing in there, I don't remember the rest of the team, to be honest. I did watch this live, and I just thought it was a great game. But let's go on to turn 2. Door stolen, and he hits the Hypnosis. Let me see the end of this turn real quick. Stantler comes in after the Hypnosis hits, and Sudowoodo comes in. So that's indicating it's not a Rest Talk Weezing, but then again, anything's possible. BFM's really good at eccentric builds, and even though Rest Talk isn't too eccentric, I guarantee you he wouldn't be showing it if he doesn't have to. So Shengineer sees that and decides to switch in his Deer. As he names Deer, I like the names here. as BFM switches into Sudowoodo. This is a really good explosion. This is not the best explosion spot actually for BFM, but it could be a great thief spot. Just because, let me actually check the calcs on, I don't remember it off the top of my head. I definitely should though. That is just sacrilege in all honesty. Stantler rest talk against Sudowoodo. And you offensive. And so EQ does around max 43.7%. So it is, honestly, if you're trying to get a thief and explosion off, it is pretty safe just to stay in here, in my opinion. If you're trying to play this really fast. So Shen needs to think about what he wants thiefed on this team or explode, because you can't really let Pseudo just take the reins like that. It's going to create a huge dent in your team, and you can literally lose 3 mons to Sudowoodo if you just don't play around it well enough, especially if it's a curse set. Usually Thief and Curse I don't like together, just because you want to have either, you don't want to have Rock Slide and EQ. So in my opinion, I just don't think Thief and Curse just work well together, so I usually never use it. I don't expect BFM to do the same, but let's see what turn 4 brings us. Goes into Firo. On BFM side, there's a Curse Stantler coming on the right. I'm not going to stop for this one. Double Edge coming from Firo. Probably just trying to get some HP off, seeing if it's Rest Talk or not. Probably not, because you need EQ. The Stantler curses again. Firo goes for another Double Edge, where Stantler goes for a return. Now let's see if BFM just stays in here and Double Edges to sack off the Firo, which he gets 2% left, and that's kind of crucial. Yeah, that's not actually too crucial, but yeah, so this is a Cursed Stantler. I don't know the rest of the moves. I have tested a lot of, I have been doing a lot of testing with Shen, but I'm not sure of what this Stantler is, to be honest with you. It could be like a light screen EQ, it could be a rest talk return, which I don't like because you just kind of really need EQ. It could even be hypnosis, but I prefer to but sleep causes up, so you can't really use hypnosis here. In comes Flareon, where, to my knowledge, Fire Blast does kill Stan. Does it actually? No, it doesn't. There's no way. No, it does. It does. Minimum 46% against Stantler. No, I'm wrong. I just underestimate Flareon's special attack, to be honest, as well as overestimate Stantler's special defense. So, huge blunder by me. Thank goodness I'm going over these games now, especially before I play on Sunday. Oh my goodness. Anyways, so BFM brings out Flareon just to try to either just get the Stantler down or just scout out a switch. If I were in Shen's position, I'd think hard about if you need the Stantler or not for the Weezing and the Sudowoodo, or even a Curse Mon. You don't really want a Curse Stantler against a Wigglytuff, especially this low, because when it goes back in, it's just going to be very frail, and Wigglytuff's going to take it off after a +1 body slam. So even with the leftovers recovery, I don't think switching out is the right play, but I'm just going to see what Shen does. He does switch out into a Graveler, where a Fire Blast hits the Graveler. No burn, and BFM switches out while Shengineer EQs on an incoming Kingler. Now, so turn 10, we have BFM's full team shown. He's down 5-6, but full team is shown, and so this is a Spikesless Flareon offensive team. I can see it's offensive because it's got Tough, it's got Firo, it's got Sudowoodo, it's got the hallmark offensive mons right here. This could even be considered hyper offense in my opinion, especially considering that there's 2 explosion mons on the team and a lot of other mons that can just pack a punch. No pun intended for COD enjoyers. We still don't have a good idea of what Shengineer's team is like, but I don't think it's the Spikes team. I think it leans a lot more offensively as well, if I'm not mistaken. This Kingler set, if Kingler's coming in on a Graveler, I presume it has Substitute, for one. And on top, no, I'm just going to let the game take me by the wheels. Weezing switches into the Kingler, which double edges on the Weezing. So, taking a little bit of recoil there, Weezing switches in, and this Weezing goes for a Curse. So, this seems like a Curse stack team. It could have a Porygon or a Tough at the back. but definitely leaning a lot more offensively. It could even be a sack wheezing with a self-destruct as well as a HP ground and sledge bomb with the curse, which is usually better as a lead, but if you have Persian, I understand why Shen wants it in the back line, especially just to kind of be almost a safety net for other curse mons, just in case. And just to get like an explosion off later on in the game rather than... So, cursing up a Sudowoodo, to my knowledge, this is a 3-hit KO on Earthquake, but Sudowoodo curses up as well, while HP ground comes out on Sudowoodo. Now, this is an opportunity where I don't know who's going to explode here, but it's probably going to be a Sudowoodo. No, it's not. EQ comes in, and it's still +2, +1 on each side. Sudowoodo takes a little bit more and explodes right through the wheezing. Now, 6-5. A little bit of leftovers recovery from Stantler. So, that's the explosion used. It would have been nice if it was used on the Stantler, but if there's a Wheezing cursed up on you, you kind of just have to take it out. That's the best option for you at this moment. You don't want to get Flareon out of the way too early before you don't even know the last 2 Mons. You can have, because I believe BFM must also be thinking if there is a grass type in the back, or if there's a Pineco. I don't know. I don't think it has had too many opportunities to even switch in. It's had a few, but still not too many. I don't think there's going to be a Pineco in the back, though, with how Shen's been playing this. I think there's just full offense. You don't waste time putting up spikes. You just go at it. I can understand... in this basis, you have a lot of threats to Sudowoodo, like, already. With Graveler, Stab, or EQ is nothing to scoff at. And plus... Let me actually see how much... Let me just remind myself. Graveler and Sudowoodo... So yeah, EQ does max 64, min 55 to a Sudowoodo, while its EQ only does around max 51, min 43. It still packs a punch, but I'm pretty sure... I'm thinking that if he's getting into Sudowoodo this early, this has to be... I know HP ground, 2-hit KOs Graveler from this range, but... Is it a Surf Kingler, could it be? Just thinking about it, but... No, wait, I remember what it is. Never mind. We're going to keep on going with the game. Deer EQs onto the Flareon, which Fire Blasts in return, and takes the Deer down. For its tie game each side. Tie game is a little bit funny to say about Pokemon, but it is what it is. And Kingler comes out to tank that Double Edge. Now, a Double Edge would become... If Kingler is taking this much HP, yes, it's a rest talk Kingler. So it's still got... So, I'm thinking... I'm not even going to pose about the sets right here. I should probably be focusing more on the game. Just because, right at this point, you don't want to... Shen needs to switch something else in to take care of this Kingler once and for all. Because if it gets a Swords Dance up, it's going to be looking tough for Shen to be breaking through without exploding his... Graveler, and you really want to keep that explosion on, just to either finish off the game or get rid of a threat that you really don't want on your team. I don't think you switch in Graveler here. If you have a Mon that can just take over a Kingler, then you have to switch it in now. Otherwise, you go for a Screech. You just have to go for a Screech right now and just get this thing out of the way, because it's a lot like Tough. If you just leave it up for a couple turns, it's going to take the game away. And he goes for a Screech. This is what he's choosing. Shen is basically saying he's willing to sack this Mon just to get enough HP off Kingler and get it to kill. Where BFM sees that he needs Kingler for the future, so he's going to take it out. Weezing coming in. Kingler switches back in, baiting a switch, but Shen reads it and goes straight for another Double Edge. I think Shen knows that BFM needs this Kingler out right now, or BFM feels the need for this Kingler to be out, and he's willing to waste that HP on Persian just to neutralize the threat. Persian going for another Double Edge. Persian doesn't have a great attack, but Stab Double Edge always adds up on a team like this. Graveler switches in, gearing up for an explosion, but will Shen go for it? Tough curses up, and Tough stays in, and Graveler goes for explosion, and that's a Wiggly Tough down. That's a big bring down for Shengineer at the moment. We only know Persian so far, so that's... And Kingler takes even more HP. It's looking really tough for not rest talk Kingler, but you don't want to be keeping this Kingler in, and Persian can kind of keep on cycling out and back in every single turn. Unless he rolls a double edge here, which he does. Kingler takes down Persian. 2-3, BigFatMantis leading the way, and Shengineer brings out his own Wigglytuff. So this probably explains why Shengineer was so confident in trying to bring down... What am I trying to say here? Because BFM needs this Weezing to wake up soon. Alright? If you have a tough just kind of scoping you down with getting a curse up, it's never fun. Especially when you don't have Kingler out. I don't know what this last move is. Could be SD, could be HP ground, but either way, it's you need to explode on this tough right now in order to just get it out of the way. Or at least get enough HP off of it so that Flareon can come in and Fire Blast it. Because Fire Blast on Flareon does do a lot to tough. Let's see how it wakes up. It does wake up and gets enough HP off, so Flareon's coming in to get a Fire Blast off on the Wigglytuff, which it does. Last one on Shen. Flareon out. It's a Porygon. This is curse up behavior, and to be honest, I don't think... Yeah, it's... I do know the set, but it's definitely not Sword Stance, because if it's Sword Stance, you kind of have to come in on Kingler here and just take out the Porygon. But I think BFM right here is just looking for a Fire Blast burn, and also does 52% to the Porygon, so this is coming really close to killing a Porygon in 2-hit KO range. It's definitely a roll, but Shen goes for a curse, and what I think is... Let me actually check the roll exactly. I should know these rolls at the top of my head, but I am... No, not... Okay. Fire Blast on Porygon does 45.3 to 53.4%. So, BFM needs a high roll on Fire Blast right now, or pretty much a crit because of the rounding on Pokemon damage rolls. No, it's going to go up to 54%. What am I saying? Yeah, he needs a crit right here, basically, or a burn. A burn would be monumental. And what Shen needs to do is he needs a T-Wave this Flareon so he can start recovering and outspeeding every single time. Or T-Wave an incoming Kingler if that's going to happen, just in case. But let's see what happens here. No burn, 2% left, recover on Porygon, 58%. It's looking more and more dire for BFM. Missed Fire Blast, another recover. Once a T-Wave happens, it's pretty much game, unless there's a burn. Another curse happens, which, fair, you need to... If there's a crit, then it goes, but Fire Blast does miss again. Recover back up to 100%. BFM goes for a rest, and another curse coming from Shen. And this is looking really dire for BFM. Rolling a double edge, there's so much defense in this thing that you just can't take it down. And this is... Look, this is a GG. This is a GG. I want to see what this fourth... I remember what this fourth move is, actually. I just want to see it played out. Just because you don't really see... I don't see this ever. So I want to just witness what my reaction was again. Recovering for crit, by the way. Just in case there's a crit. And... Bring it out. No, it's not there yet. I'm trying to build up the suspense here, but I'm probably not that suspenseful. I'm gonna be real honest. And it's a Crab Hammer. Never seen that on Kingler before, but you've seen it now today, folks. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm going to rewatch that video to make sure I can do better replay analysis, because my replay analysis, at least on video, is shot now, but we gotta get better. You gotta go and bite the mud before you can get the gold. So, take care. Hope everyone has a good day. Bye-bye.